The podcast where Mom and I, because we've known each other for over half a century,
Yes, we have.
talk about whatever we like.
That's right.
This week, we are so excited to have a guest. We have Audrey McLoghlin here. She is the founder and CEO of Frank and Eileen, and we will be speaking with Audrey in a few minutes. But I just want to catch up with you first, Mom, because I haven't seen you since yesterday.
I know, it's been a long time, darling.
What have you been up to?
Well, two exciting things this past week.
Tell me.
Yeah. We have a contractor coming to look at and I don't think I've even told you this, expanding the podcast space.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pulling out the space. You were talking a little bit about expanding this.
Yes,
This
I had been.
space.
This space.
Oh, all right.
So maybe add an additional space and then maybe a workout room for me.
I'll come over more.
That's okay.
Is that the goal?
It's always the goal. I just pretend. But then I have to say that the most exciting thing of the week was going to your book launch. It was so fun.
That was fun. That was for the not Strike and Burn, the second book,
Axe and Grind.
Axe and Grind.
And I loved it. I loved looking at all your friends there, most of whom were writers themselves, but some who weren't. There's some sort of extended family people there. It was huge.
It was great. It was a really, I like bookstores and I like parties, but that's not chocolate and peanut butter for me. I feel like so taking the party and putting it for the book in the house, to me, it's a great reason to get flowers.
You don't need a reason.
I know I don't need a reason to get flowers, but it was very fun. And we sold books.
You did, and everybody was excited to be there and so happy to support you.
People are very supportive. It's sort of like having a lemonade stand when you are a writer. You have to, you're getting the pitcher, the ice, the everything. You sell the thing. So it was really fun. You find those fun moments.
And then you always have cookies that have your book cover.
Oh, yeah.
and I took one home to John, and we both ate it. We're trying not to eat
Shortbread.
Yeah, it was shortbread, and then the most colorful icing that we're going, oh my gosh, think of the dye in this.
You can't.
As we're eating it, we didn't care.
No, I don't care. I know. I love sugar.
I know. All right, that was my week.
That's
and
a good
week. Sort of revolved around you.
Audrey McLoghlin is the founder and CEO of Frank and Eileen. A former engineer and Georgia Tech graduate with a heart for entrepreneurship, Audrey McLoghlin founded Frank and Eileen in 2009 during the worst economic crisis in modern history. Her goal was simple: to reinvent the women's button-up using the finest Italian fabrics, too often reserved for men. With inspiration taken from her Irish roots and named in honor of her beloved grandparents, Frank and Eileen has grown slowly and intentionally from its best Italian fabric in the world-obsessed beginnings to a woman-owned, woman-led leader in sustainability. To this day, Audrey owns 100% of her business while working with the same ethical, sustainable manufacturers since day one, all from Frank and Eileen's family-friendly headquarters in sunny California. A determination to act as a force for good in the fashion industry led to Frank and Eileen attaining B Corp certification in 2020. The mission-driven brand was recertified in 2024 and continues to hold the highest score for any woman-owned, globally recognized apparel brand in the United States. Audrey's firm belief that entrepreneurship is the most powerful driver of positive change for women inspired the Frank and Eileen Giving Pledge of $10 million over 10 years to educate the women entrepreneurs of tomorrow with fellowships and programs at America's top educational institutes. After 15 years of slow and steady growth, Audrey continues to build her Force for Good legacy, focusing her second decade as a mother, founder, and CEO on fostering new and exciting opportunities for female entrepreneurship while giving her beloved customers the closet staples to embrace timeless, generationless style. I have a quick question.
Yes.
Welcome, Audrey, and I have a quick question.
Yes.
What is a B Corp?
Oh, that's the hardest question that you started with. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here. And Priscilla and Adele are my absolute favorite mother-daughter hens in the world. I've told Priscilla that is my life goals for my daughter and I to have this type of relationship as adults, where my daughter's currently 10 years old and thinks she's an adult. So we're working towards it, and it gets more and more magical all the time. So I look up to you guys to see what my long future with my daughter looks like. So to answer that question, right, in a way, the whole B Corp certification, I think, was a little bit of a happy accident. Many people that know me know I'm obsessed with silver linings. So I'd say it was a silver lining to what is the most recent, catastrophic macro event that we all lived through, which was March 13th or the week of March 13th in 2020, where the entire world as we knew it came to a grinding halt, right? And especially in an industry and business like ours, where at the time we were almost 100% wholesale. That was our kind of 1.0. We launched as a wholesale business, and we sold to 300 specialty stores around the country and the world. And in 1 week, virtually every store across the globe closed. So that was a beyond challenging time to navigate. But in it, the silver lining was suddenly the one sort of resource I had that I did not have before was time. Right? Didn't commute to work anymore, wasn't on a plane every week, wasn't in in-person meetings. So all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, what can I do with this new gift that I have to help make, something happy out of this really difficult time? And so I said, well, this one thing I've always wanted to do is we've always built the company from day one just out of our values, right? And it only meant something to me, and that's just what informed all the decisions. And over the years, as the years went by, I guess probably over the first decade, it started becoming, this word sustainability was starting to be used. I'd never even heard it before. It started, people were using it in marketing, and I'm thinking, I feel like all the stuff they're talking about, it's just part of our core DNA. I didn't know it was something to brag about, right, or to market about. I had no idea. So we started learning about it before COVID, and I realized, there's this, third-party entity, B Corp, where you go through a very arduous process, enormous amounts of documentation, documenting absolutely everything about how your business operates. So whether there's a sustainability side, supply chain, governance, absolutely everything about how you operate your company. And I thought, we operate like that. So maybe we should get certified. But we just didn't have the time and resources. And then suddenly COVID happened. I said, I do have time now. And so we spent from, I'd say April of 2020 and however many months went through the application process and all that heavy documentation, finished it around November of 2020. And I felt like I was applying to college, maybe even harder than that, where you're confident going in, right? But then as soon as you submit it, you're like, oh, what if I don't get in? That'd be so embarrassing. And we really spent a lot of time doing this. So we sat and waited. And so when we got accepted, I was relieved, but it turned out we didn't just get B Corp certified. We received the highest impact score of any woman-owned, globally recognized brand in the US. And so that was really enlightening and shocking and surprising and exciting. And I'm a huge person on memorializing things, whatever those might be, celebrating yourself, celebrating moments, celebrating achievements. And I felt like, in the hardest year in our company's life, we achieved something really valuable and exciting to the team. And I wanted to have something to memorialize that and celebrate and recognize the team for it. So I sat and thought, I said, okay, what if I memorialize it with creating the Frank and Eileen Giving Pledge? And we're going to pledge $10 million over 10 years to help create more women entrepreneurs. And that's how that all came together.
That's incredible. What an interesting answer to my sort of ABD question. Thank you for it.
I'm Irish, so if I could answer in 10 words, I use 1,000 words.
No, that's fat.
Gift of the gab.
I was just making banana bread in COVID, so it's just incredible that they're like.
Do you use Irish butter on your banana bread?
Yes, I do.
Good. Okay,
yes,
good.
I do.
Okay.
We all use Irish
yeah,
butter.
got to.
It is the way. Well, it's funny, Audrey, because I remember the hardest year of a headship was 2008 with the financial collapse. And we had families saying, we can't afford it, we're leaving. And I was frantic thinking, what can we do? How do we raise money in this time? People weren't doing annual giving.
Absolutely.
And so I said, how can we recalibrate and think not about large gifts, but just getting people to give small gifts? So we sort of were brainstorming and we came up with this idea to, because young alums don't give back much, to say, and I wrote a letter and I said, if this education meant something to you, could you reach back and help some girls who are not able to stay? And I was determined that every student could stay. So I had said, my campaign is every girl stays. And they sent me $25, $50, some spent a little more.
That's beautiful.
But mostly it was small gifts. And at the end of their letter, they would write to me about what was important. And then they wrote, every girl stays. So, it also helped young people understand that they can give back, even if they're, we're not asking them for $100,000.
Absolutely.
And then I thought to myself after this was a school that when I came, had a real drop-off in enrollment. Schools had gone co-ed. The girls thought they wanted to be with boys. And they had said, well, you have admissions experience. And I said, this isn't an admissions issue. It's a vision issue. And I sat with my board chair, who was an entrepreneur, incredible man, started his own store in West Philadelphia, grew to be an empire, but he would sit with me at nights in my office and I'd say, what does disruption look like for you? What will disruption look like for education? And I started with that. And I had so much pushback from teachers going, that's not what we do. And I said, everybody should be an entrepreneur. We have to think about the school with an entrepreneurial lens. And so we started reading and visiting MIT's labs and talking to people. And there was a man who wrote a book, Hal Gergerson, and it was about his work, with entrepreneurship. And I just went to Boston and asked to meet with him. And he invited me over to the house. And I listened to him sitting there with Clayton Christensen and the work he was doing. And that became sort of my passion in life's work. How do we get everybody invested in this?
I love it. And the whole time you're telling the story, I'm thinking about how we met.
Oh, yeah.
The magic of that and how many parallels there are to these lives that we were living that we didn't know each other yet. Right. And that obviously what brought us together. And I think I need a new name for it because I always talk about silver linings, right? But there's got to be a gold or platinum or diamond lining. I need a saying for that because that was me meeting you, right? So after creating this giving pledge and then having to sit and say, well, I have first of all, what do I give the money to? How do I do that? Like, what's really important to me? I had to dig deep and think about that, right? And I was like, changing the world through creating more women entrepreneurs is what I'm very passionate about and what I want to devote my philanthropy to. And that's what ultimately led me to meeting you, right? And that was life-changing. And so I never would have met you if COVID hadn't happened. And then I'd gotten B Corp certified. And then I created the Giving Pledge. And then I went out on a search for what are the best educational institutes in the country that are already leading the way on creating women entrepreneurs. And that's how I ended up meeting Priscilla.
That was the SANS Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership?
Well, that's the SANS Center is in Philadelphia.
Okay.
That's what led me to Marlboro.
But when I went to Marlboro, it was a different population, but they still, I felt the girls were sort of siloed by themselves, not working together. And so I found funding for the center.
It is strategic, but it's also really, it's based in really a very future forward.
And
yeah,
passion.
Right, we're in COVID, we're locked down. I don't know anyone. I do not have a big social circle. I said, okay, well, what am I going to do? So let me figure out the top like 3 to 5 people in the whole country that are already working on entrepreneurship. Like, let me partner with experts, right? Because I make clothing. So let me find someone who's what they do is make entrepreneurs. So I reached out to the top 3 higher education in entrepreneurship, which is Babson, MIT, and Stanford. And I said, I want to find young girls, like who can I find either K through 12, 7 through 12? I was looking for something. And then I found Marlboro, which is in Los Angeles, down the street from our corporate headquarters. We're like, this is a dream. And just started calling and connecting with the leadership at each school. And Priscilla was the head of school at Marlboro. And it was like an instant connection. I don't even feel like we had to complete sentences. Like, we just met like, yes, I know exactly the work you're doing. I love the work you're doing. I want to be part of it. I want to help fund it. And we set up the Frank and Eileen Accelerator and Incubator inside Marlboro.
So it's there. And it's so exciting. It gives me chills. Every time I think about it, it gives me chills. It gives me, and Adele and I wanted to do a podcast back in my school in Philadelphia because they wanted to do this. And I interviewed 3 girls who are young entrepreneurs and they're juniors. And I remember one of them when she was really not expected to live. She had cancer, and it was so serious. And they told her she'd have it twice. And I sat in the room with her and her parents. So all of a sudden, coming into the studio is this absolutely self-assured, confident young woman who had won the first prize for entrepreneurship from the Philadelphia Eagles. And what she does, Audrey, is she goes in and decorates hospital rooms in the NICU for children, and she takes their themes. And so, the Eagles were saying, let me give you more money. But, and no, I've just gone on her board. But it's so, no.
Tell me
I didn't, I know.
Oh my gosh, Mom.
And so I think of this little munchkin, sitting with her parents and wondering if she would survive. And now she's just this confident, wonderful young woman. And I sit on her board. I answer to her.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite. Well, I have a question for you because I love pivots, and we have made pivots, and I want to ask you about your pivot from engineering to fashion design.
It's really a flex.
Like, isn't it obvious? I mean, you go to engineering school and then you build a fashion brand.
Yeah. So we have so many questions, but we just want to throw it to you. Like, did you have hesitations? What did you wrestle with early on? What were the moments? Did you question it?
So funny. You know what? There's these moments, especially in childhood, that you remember, but why do you remember them? It don't even seem significant. So I'm in like 7th grade science class or something, and my teacher had this filing cabinet, right? It's the 80s, and it said in these big letters, "Ignorance is bliss." And I would stare at it every day, and I'd be like, I don't honestly know what that means. Yeah. Okay, what does that mean? And I now realize it's one of these important dots in my life that connect, that it's become a very powerful thing. When you say, did you have hesitation? No, ignorance is bliss. Never had a moment of hesitation because I had no idea what entrepreneurship entailed. I had no idea that was even a word, I think. I just wanted to build something from nothing. I didn't know there was a word for it. And I had no idea how painful it would be. I had no idea how resilient you had to be. I had no idea how many times you'd have to pivot. I had so I think I would think back like, wow, that poster in science class, now I know what it means. And yeah, ignorance is bliss. But I think I'm grateful to that, because something I notice, I work a lot with students or, whether it's at Babson or MIT or not Marlboro because they're so young, but like older students, right? You get this question a lot, especially maybe graduate students. Like, there's so much fear around, should I do this? And, there's so much considerations. And I'm like, look, be like Nike, just do it. Like, don't overthink it. Like, if you're excited about it and passionate, what's the worst that can happen? You can fail. And then you're going to have so much valuable stuff to learn from. You're going to get back up, dust off your knees, and start again, right? Eventually you'll get there. So I think I feel fortunate that ignorance was bliss, and I had no idea. So I don't think I didn't overthink it. I didn't have like a risk analysis or anything. I just kept going.
It's fascinating to me. I do think there's like, if I am lucky enough to get to meet an entrepreneur, I always feel like, because I think of myself sort of as a low energy person, and then like the contrast is always the energy. There is so much, I would say, the curiosity and the energy that I feel like seems to be so part of building a thing. And then kind of, I love your ignorance is bliss. But I would add to it sort of, it feels like there's this rigorous optimism, sort of the idea that like, even if the worst happens, it won't be that bad, or there's something. And you mentioned resilience, and that feels like a big part of it too. But there's also, to me, sort of this up energy.
Completely. And I figured out a way to articulate it. I think I didn't know how to before, and it touches on what Priscilla said. So prior to March 2020, the most painful year in any entrepreneur's life was 2008. And it wasn't really an acute moment quite like 2020. It was a long drawn out, it wasn't just 2008. It was almost like pre-2008 to 2010 or 11. It was a long, painful period, right? And I was a very young entrepreneur, and I was not capitalized to withstand a great recession. So it was a dumpster fire, right? It was like a glorious failure. And I learned a lot during that time because it was very stressful. And I remember driving one day and in a green Land Rover. We were talking about love Land Rovers, love green. And I said, you know what? I really need to be able to explain to myself, like, what is it that lets everyone be so stressed out, right? Fear of some kind. Like, but really what's going to happen? Let's just say, what is the worst that could happen? And I realized driving that day in LA traffic that whatever's happening in a business that's failing and everything's falling apart, it can, as long as it doesn't result in death or imprisonment, like, it's really not that bad. Like, that's the worst that could happen. So if whatever's happening in your life can lead to death, by all means, be stressed out. And if whatever you're doing could lead to imprisonment, I think you should also be pretty stressed
Maybe
out.
don't do it.
Everything else is like, it's just Wednesday, right? Like, this is just what I chose to do for a living. Like, I'm an entrepreneur, and I think no matter what you chose to do, it's really hard. And this has a special kind of hardness, but it's also so fun and so exhilarating. And so I just think if you're like, you just have to solve these problems all day long. And I think then it ties into the engineering part, right? I think engineers are trained to be problem solvers, right? I mean, you have like a black belt in problem solving. So that really serves you well in entrepreneurship. Like, what do you need more than combination of resilience and a black belt in problem solving that you can kind of deal with anything, right? And so that day, I think, gave me more freedom than anything else ever in my life, realizing that I can just ask myself in every situation, which is now automatic because this was back in 2008, is this going to lead to death or imprisonment? No? Okay. It's just Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Like, this too shall pass. I will work through this. Like, it's not the end of the world. And so nothing stresses me out, like nothing, which I think is really amazing.
I want that in a box.
Because in my 20s, I could feel it, right? Whatever stress levels in your body, and like, this is not sustainable. I'm going to end up having a stroke or a heart attack. But I was 20 nothing. So kind of, but like, this is not sustainable, I think, for long term or cortisol levels or whatever. And I love that no matter how it seems like it should be so stressful, and I can obviously have very intense and hard days, but you don't psychologically, you don't allow it to do those stress hormones and stuff, because you're like, It's just work. It's just hard.
Yeah.
I know. So that was very freeing to me.
That is the silver lining, I guess, of that time, which
Exactly.
it's incredible.
Doing that,
Exactly.
probably you're one of the few people I know who really has mastered that, and that's a gold lining.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
it's
it's a big
incredible.
deal because, you know, at the scale we're at, there's enormous pressure with so many people on our team. There's so much going on at once. But you never let yourself cross that line of like real stress because, you know, none of it's going to lead to death or imprisonment. So and now I don't even consider it, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't get to think, I don't have to actively think about it as much. It just happens automatically. Like it would go, you know, and it's like death, imprisonment. Okay, keep going.
That is great.
Well, I feel corny comparing it, but it resonates with me. I do not run a team. I run a team of one, which is me and my laptop. But I always feel like if these fictitious people can't figure it out, it's okay. You know, there's like embedded into my everyday of writing characters and story, just a sense of like, if it works and it becomes a book, that's so fantastic because then it's a lotto ticket. And then if it doesn't work and I have to put it aside, no harm, no foul, we start again with something else. And I think it just really always infuses my day with just this sort of natural joy in waking up and getting to have it.
Right, I do. I think it helps give you more joy in what you do because it can be so easy to just fully get caught up in, you know, the stress of it and the pace of it. And an entrepreneur, like it kind of never stops. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So finding that way to find more joy in it instead of it always just being stressful or fires that you're putting out, or, you know, as soon as you figure out one thing, you up the ante, the whole thing. But you can find a lot of joy by, you know, some of these like little things you tell yourself. Yeah.
I think the important thing too is when you're at work, finding people who support that mindset. I can't work with people. There's an expression that just drives me crazy. And if anybody says it to me, I can't even tell you. I just have this internal reaction, not external. But if somebody says, I just want to give you a heads up, nothing good is coming. Nothing good. So I don't want that. You know, I don't want to hear that. So creating a team for me was the most important job in all of my schools. You just have people can push back. Everybody's voice is heard, and the most important thing is we get to laugh.
Yes.
Nothing is life and death. So you have named your store for your grandparents, and we would love, because we are storytellers and we love family stories, will you tell us the story of Frank and Eileen?
Absolutely. And it'll be kind of fun because this will be the first place that I tell this story. And first, 2026 is the year of the horse. So exciting, right?
That is exciting.
I've never even known what year of anything it is, but the horse is so special, like you said. And my daughter's a very committed, serious equestrian rider. So I'm really excited. It's the year of the horse, so majestic and beautiful. And when she gets thrown, it's like, don't tell mom or don't tell the... I'm fine, you know? Okay, the story of Frank and Eileen, it's so interesting because, so it was 2008 when I'm like basically living in my factory in the city of Commerce. I brought a couch and slept there like usually 5 to 6 days a week. And the couch is still there. And I had multi-brand retail stores. I had other things that were, you know, ultimately failed in the 2008 crisis. But in kind of like the ashes of all that, I was working on a new project called Frank and Eileen. At the time, I didn't know the name. So I was sitting late in my office. I used to always stay there till, you know, midnight or 2 a.m, hence the couch. Like I might as well just sleep here and I'll be here when everyone arrives in the morning. And I'd always named my companies after family. That just always is what resonated with me. So I named my first company after my mom. And when I was starting this, I wanted to reinvent the button-up shirt for women using menswear fabrics. And I had called Italy and asked them about it. And they said, no, we've never used these fabric for women. So I was like, great. Okay, now I need to come up with a name. So I'm literally sitting on the floor of this factory in Commerce, printing. I'm going to the Illustrator and teach myself to use Illustrator and Photoshop and like create some logos. What should it be called? And I want it to be named after family. And I said, well, I fell so madly in love with these Italian fabrics. I feel like it should be a love story. Who in my family has a love story? And I thought, my grandparents, Frank and Eileen, like they just had this old world love story in Ireland, right? I mean, they lived in this little stone cottage. They never had a car. They walked everywhere, like everywhere that Frank went. I said, hello, Frank. Hello, Frank. Hello, Frank. Like everyone knows his name, you know? So it's just like that always just, you know, was romantic to me until death do us part. They were together until Frank passed away. And, you know, I thought, okay, I think that's it. I think I'll name it for my love story of the Italian fabrics. I'll create a love story around my family. And then this is the part that I'd never told before. So Priscilla, you came to the amazing grand opening of our Madison Avenue global flagship, first ever owned retail. And we declared the opening of it like Frank and Eileen 3.0, right? So this spring is our 17th anniversary. We've been building the brand for a long time. And we did a lot of deep diving at, end of the year, and how can I really excite the team about the work that we're doing in the coming year of the horse. And I thought, okay, you know what? We've been on this really long journey, and Frank and Eileen 1.0 was really launching the brand 100% wholesale. Okay. And we did that for 10 years. That was really our DNA, that's kind of like who we really were and all the muscles that we'd built. Frank and Eileen 2.0 was going into e-commerce, and we had to figure that out real quick in March 2020, or we would have gone out of business. And so we spent the last 6 years scaling that, and then opening Madison became 3.0. Like now we're in owned retail. So 3 different distribution channels, right? And in that I said, I want to really take a step back and do sort of this Frank and Eileen brand architecture 3.0. And I've spent the last couple of months working really hard with like a genius marketing branding person, and like, let's go back to the beginning. So I think a couple months ago we sat in a room and we were just like, let's just go back to the beginning. Let's start back to the beginning of my life, how that led me to starting Frank and Eileen. Just like, let's talk through all the details and see if either we missed something, or how do we want to really figure out how we tell the brand story and what is really important to us going forward? Because sometimes over 17 years, you gather so many stories and so many things that sometimes it's too much. So how do we sort through it and really narrow in on what's important to us? So we've been working on that. We actually have an exciting brand architecture 3.0 offsite on January 30th that we're really excited about, and to bring it to a closure. But this huge aha moment happened in that sort of this like 3-hour interview. Like, let's just sit and talk about all things Audrey and history and Frank and Eileen. And I was explaining how Frank and Eileen is a love story, and it's, the love for the Italian fabric. And so that's why I named it after my grandparents, the story I just told you. And this woman said, no, you know what? Frank and Eileen is not a love story. It's actually like a manifestation of your childhood fantasy. And I was like kind of blown away. And that's how Frank and Eileen fit into it. But all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. All of the things of why I love really charming things and character and very like textural stone and all this, I think I like things that are old. I don't like things that are new. I like things that are, chilly and cozy and all these things. It's like once every, my parents left Ireland and came to the United States for the American dream. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I feel like I always need to pay it forward to build something meaningful for the sacrifice that they made. But I always say home is where the heart is. And so for me, that was always Ireland. And we didn't have the money to go back and forth when I was young, right? This was in the 80s. And so we really only got to go home once every 5 years. And in a child's life, that's like lifetimes, right?
Yeah.
I remember always getting off the airplane, and our family, back when you didn't have TSA and you could just show up to the gate, they would all meet us there, and I wouldn't recognize them because it had been 5 years since I'd seen them. And so it was just a very unique childhood and way to grow up, and you're so disconnected from your family and your roots, but you go back, and every time I would go there, I would just feel at home. But our home base was always at Frank and Eileen's house. And so, just I think all of my greatest memories and fantasies are being with Frank and Eileen, and the water bottles that would be at the end of the bed to keep our feet warm, and they would give us like a pound. Back then they're on pounds and cents. They would give us a pound every morning, and my sister and I go running buying penny sweets at the sweet shop, and we felt so independent because we could go to the sweet shop alone, and you can't do that in the suburbs of the United States, and the backyard and the rose gardens and just all of it. And I never realized until she reflected back to me what she heard, that the brand is more than just the love story between Frank and Eileen. It's kind of this entire childhood fantasy of being in Ireland and all the memories and the laughing and the independence and Ireland is just so amazingly charming and stuff. It's so different than the way I grew up. So I think that's ultimately, and it kind of helps explain, all the things that have been built into the brand, right? Like when you order online and you get this shipper box and you open it up and there's Irish sheep inside and County Wicklow, and then there's, Irish tea, and it's in the shape of a sloppy heart that I draw in all my engineering books when I was in college, and it has a little Irish love poem on it, and there's just all this storytelling and charm and character layered into it. And it just kind of comes from all of those childhood memories of being at Frank and Eileen's house.
Oh my gosh, I love
That's
that.
so wonderful. Yesterday John had a doctor's appointment and I went with him, as I always do. And I had my hat with a little sheep on it that I got at the party and your opening. And I left it in the doctor's office. And now to go back into the maze of UCLA, but I said to John, I have to get my hat back. And so I had to figure out how to get back to the...
That was like an 8th level quest for you.
Sally, it was. I was just... And then I said, have you seen my hat? And they had to go into an examination. And they said, it's not here. And they said, and I thought I was going to cry. And they said, what does it look like? And I described it. And she said, oh, wait, somebody just gave that hat on me. I'm so excited. You got it back. Got it back.
Okay, but the good news, like Priscilla, like, people, all right? Like, you have connections. You could have gotten another one if you couldn't find it.
Maybe.
But I love your commitment to finding that
I
IP
wanted
because you
that.
got it.
It was the OG.
It was very special.
And I would say, I can't wait for you to see it, sweetie, when you go.
I know.
Because that was, I still have more than anything is the sense of it. I walked from the hotel, I got there, and it was so beautiful, and the lights and everything. And I walked in, I've told Adele all of this, I told her how beautiful you look. All the people who helped me buy things, they were so sweet. I mean, I had about 4 people in the dressing room with me going, no, try this. And they were, but it felt exactly as you described. It was more of a feeling than a store. I wanted to buy everything, but I wanted more to just soak up. And then that little penny candy.
Oh, my Shirley Sweet Shop.
Oh, I can't wait. And I called Adele and I said, I told her all about it. And I said, and I have a little bag of candy for you that she never saw.
I'm like, I was not going to say anything.
Yeah.
You're like, I kind of tried to bring it home for you, but also I ate it.
Oh, I ate every bit.
Because it's Irish sweet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sorry. I'll get my own. You'll get your own.
I'll get my own. But even when you get the package, as you say, with all the little, it does feel this. It's a funny thing. I feel very much that this is mine. There's a lot of ownership that you feel when you get a package that feels like a present. And I think that is really interesting how even that hat, you feel like I got that. That was that special night.
That was that special night.
You couldn't replace it for me.
And John laughs because he'll go, it's another Frank and Eileen.
It's a little bit like being a kid. You're getting all it is. I'm just curious about Ireland today and how that plays into inspiration and collections and thinking about travel and your aesthetic is just huge. So
but also there's a lot of demand for you to find the next thing and the next look. And I'm just curious on how you keep nourishing that. Are you still, do you go to Ireland often?
Yeah, I go to Ireland as often as humanly possible. All of our family's still there. And we've now created this little really sweet group where there's several kids my daughter's age. And so now we have figured out this way to meet up around the world. They all flew in from Ireland for the grand opening of Madison Avenue, and we all stayed together in one big hotel, and it was the time of our lives. And, like Priscilla, you were saying, right, the goal, I mean, we started negotiating this lease in, I think, February 2024, right? So it's been 2 years in the making. And the goal was to make it not feel like a retail store, but to create a feeling, and you use the word sense. And once we had a 4-day grand opening series of events. There were so many tears shed. It was so emotional to so many people that I said, we've really achieved our goal. You don't feel like you're going to a retail store. You have this experience, this sense, this emotional reaction, the storytelling, and you feel like you've entered someone's home. And so many times people, how did you get a townhouse on the corner of 65th and Madison? I said, I didn't get a townhouse. It was just a glass retail store. It was pretty tragic but we transformed it into feeling like you've come into Frank and Eileen's residential townhouse on the corner of 65th and Madison. And I guess it was so convincing that people really think we were just able to sign a lease for a townhouse. But no, it was just a, traditional retail space with, so it was wild. And I think, to answer your question, I think, Ireland for me is obviously always my deepest inspiration. I talk about home is where the heart is. My heart is always there. So I think that's always the level of inspiration from being authentic and storytelling, and how do I create this feeling versus product, right? And so I think it informs it in that way, and going back as much as possible just to feel the culture. I mean, to visit my family, but I love the feeling that it couldn't be more different from Los Angeles if we tried, right? So I love the kind of inspiration I get from Los Angeles and being in New York all the time, but it's very different when you get to go and be in a really special, magical place like Ireland, and the people and the way, it's kind of, I feel like how you guys do your podcast, right? It's so, this whole have a cuppa, everyone just, they drink tea all day long. It's an excuse to have a great chat. And anytime you do anything social there, it's always how was the crack? Right? It's really did you have a good time? How was the crack? And really it's about good conversation is what they mean. Did you have really great, meaningful, deep conversation? And that's what they value, and they get, so much satisfaction from. So all of those, it all ties together, some interesting balance of what I probably get from being American, living in Los Angeles, going back and forth between LA and New York all the time, and then getting to experience at a really deep level, having all my family and heritage in such a magical place. I think it all kind of blends together in something unique.
It's a novel. It is. I'm just sitting here. I think of, I remember the day I met you, and, I have this sort of veneer of calm trying to at schools, and you walked in my office and we started talking, and I got so excited listening to everything and listening to your story and wanting to know more. And it was such an exciting day. And hearing I knew your family was in Ireland, but I loved just hearing about it and how seminal that is for you and your work.
Thank you. Oh, you talk about excited, and Adele talked about the energy of entrepreneurs. And so sometimes I'm oh, sorry I interrupted you. I'm just so excited, right? It's there is always this excitement when you start talking about, what you love.
It's contagious too. It's fun to be around entrepreneurs. I think that's what I'm always clocking. I'm oh, maybe I can. Oh no, I can't do anything.
Yeah. Some people on my team are like, I love being around you. I never want to be you, but I really love being around you.
It's been the most fun part about being adults together and working together. Because there's so much. I mean, sometimes when you listen to it, it's hard to, my voice sounds older, but our voices blend. We've been so close for all these years, but we're different women. And and that has been fun. Even though we can finish each other's sentences, we know what we're thinking. She will send me something that she thinks is funny, and it will just crack me up. She absolutely understands my humor.
Yep.
And Adele's the most wonderful woman I know. But I love that we've brought unique personalities to this work, and I'm always in awe of what she does and what she can do. I would spend 15 minutes trying to write something. Well, that was that.
But I remember when you were doing the Sand Center and you were talking to me, and I could not follow those threads. Sometimes you're like this, and then this is going to happen. I gotta go.
Because she's like, that's a novel. I'm like, because you see through
Yes,
the lens
I can
of
only see it the way I
writing
see
books.
it.
Like I would never be able to see that, right?
Yeah. It's sort of like taking something and just pulling it in versus I think you take things and you push them out.
That's a good way of saying.
It's not, and I love to be around it because of the story, because the story feels so big.
And that's been our dream for the podcast. It's everybody has a story. And I've been talking about you forever. So we were so excited that you said yes, so enthusiastically.
I mean, literally anything for you. Like I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful to have met you through the Giving Pledge because you were just like the most exciting person to meet and really inspired the work I wanted to do. I had no idea what I was doing, right? I mean, this was now in 2020, so I learned a lot from you, and you made it so easy because of the work you were doing that we understood each other and the work that I wanted to do, and you let me have sort of like an open door to be able to start doing some of the work I wanted to do. And like you said, it's just so exciting to know that one of the most amazing schools in all of Los Angeles down the road has this incubator and accelerator program, and these girls are whip smart. And I'm like, you're like 25 years ahead of me as an entrepreneur. Like to watch these girls in 7th grade.
Isn't it amazing?
I mean, it's unbelievable, right? And it is, I think, the largest inspiration in all of the work that I do because I really love being able to make an impact at a much younger age, right? When women are already adults, they're much more, they've taken however many times you're going to turn right or left, you've made a lot of turns. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking to young girls at grade school, they haven't made any of those turns yet. And so being able to make that impact and for you to inspire them as the head of school with all these entrepreneurship programs and open their minds to that, they're going to end up on a completely different path than if they'd gone to even the same school with a different head of school. And I know myself and all of those parents and all those kids that you touch are forever grateful to you.
Well, it is what I have loved. And, my former school, they start taking entrepreneur classes in kindergarten.
We need to talk about this.
And they will create things. Sometimes they're wonderful. That's what people don't understand. These kids, when you have smart people helping them, they know no limits. They come up with incredible. The cutest one was middle school girls came to see me in Philadelphia, and they said, we know you love shoes.
Oh, we do. We do love shoes.
Okay, and I do love shoes. We know you love shoes, so we have created, with a 3D printer, a prototype for a shoe. If you could have seen them, that you can push a button and a heel comes.
Like day to night Barbie.
It was day
Priscilla, day to night Barbie. We're going to Mattel with this one.
Those are
everything. That's it. They cracked the code.
You don't need any more than just that one pair.
One pair of red plastic shoes.
Plastic shoes. Hit the button. Time to go out.
Well, on that note,
I love it.
We've gone over your time, and you have been so generous. But I think Adele and I could sit here forever
We
talking
could.
to you.
We could. This was such a great. It was such a great hour. I saw a quote that said, "I'm carbonated in gratitude," and that it just came to my head. I'm like, I'm carbonated in gratitude for this hour. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So much, Adele. Thank you so much, Priscilla.
We're so grateful. You're wonderful. You're an inspiration to just all women. All women.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
And I hope if anybody's interested in these gorgeous clothes, also
Yes.
you'll go.
Yeah.
So many different pieces represented today. We've got Rory, we've got Eileen in the New York City taxi cab,
Yep.
Minnie Belfast,
And many more
Eileen
like
in Cashmere Touch.
Okay, is that shirt? I've really been cutting.
that shirt is very
pretty.
So good.
That's my
It's
next.
Cashmere Touch. It's like the softest thing in the world. But you know I'm obsessed with green, so
It's a great green.
I gotta rock it as long as I can because suddenly, we have like eternal summer in LA, and then I gotta go.
No, it's okay.
Then I switch to whites. Lots.
It's gorgeous. There's that new structured white cardigan is in my cart.
Wait, which one?
It's a little cardigan. It's structured. It's on the landing page.
Jackie.
Yes.
Oh yes. Okay,
That's
you guys.
pretty.
But it's like a sweatshirt cardigan.
Yes. Yes.
The sweatshirt.
It's so yes. I didn't say it right.
Well, but I mean that's like everything. It's it's so easy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like throw it in the washing.
It's so pretty.
So it's going to come also in Heritage Jersey.
Oh,
Oh, you're gonna want both.
I'll probably get both. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, Audrey. We really appreciated your time. You're a very busy person. And I'm going to be thinking about this conversation for a long time.
Me too. Thank you. It's been a treat. Thank you, Adele and Priscilla, so much.
Thank you so much for listening to So Mom. And if you like what you hear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and review wherever you get your pod on. I listen on Apple.